Well, good evening, everybody. Hope everybody's ready for a good show. As always, good drinks, good food, good company. And I've got a doozy of a good company for you today. It's the Mad Kaiser. How you doing, buddy?
Very good, my friend, and hey everyone, what up? Matt Kaiser here, and it's a pleasure to be here.
Yeah, tell everybody a little bit about yourself. Pretend like they don't know who you are. Pretend like you're, for some reason, you're not much larger than I am, and tell them who you are.
Sure. Well, I am, of course, an aspiring YouTuber. I do lots of JRPG content recently, ever since like around, like, say, 2021. Back then, I started around YouTube in like 2017, just doing some Let's Plays of games I kind of liked and all that stuff. Completely was fine, though I got bored of it. So around 2021, I started picking more to talk about JRPGs, do discussion videos, news videos, reviews, and even some collabs. And currently, I've reached over 500 subscribers, which is just wow. I didn't think I would get there, but other than that, I'm just a pretty chill guy. You probably might see me on Twitter, where I'm also very chill and love just to talk about JRPGs in general. But
Yeah,
yeah,
JRPGs are a genre that I came into relatively early. I wouldn't say at the dawn of my gaming, but certainly took to them pretty quickly. So I guess that'd be my first question for you. I always kind of like to get a feel for what got you into the hobby. So what was your entry point? What game would you say was like the entry point game for you?
I guess say the true entry points, as in the like first JRPG I played, which was actually in 2018, which was Near Automata. You've probably know that game,
I
the one with
actually
the
it's
android.
it's it's on the list, but I've seen it. Yeah, I know a little bit about it, and
Yeah,
I'm super
yeah.
excited to finally get that one crossed off for sure.
So yeah, a little bit about that. I heard great things about it. Obviously, I've heard it became popular. I heard great things about like the story, the characters, and even the gameplay. So I picked it up, and not gonna lie, that did change my life a bit, especially on how much of a ride, a roller coaster that game was with its story and having just enjoyable combat. Since it's made by Platinum Games, same guys that did Bayonetta, as well as Metal Gear Rise and Revengeance and Transformers Devastation, just to name a few. And after that, around 2019, I also got into Kingdom Hearts. I'm pretty sure some of y'all may know that. Disney, Final Fantasy, Square crossover game that has quite a convoluted story, even though it's not that complicated in my defense. Absolutely love that game. Obviously, I got in the series late when the series came to Xbox, which obviously at the time I had more of an Xbox then, like I say, a PS4. So I was able to get the collection and, well, Kingdom Hearts 3, and I enjoyed that. But my real turning point for the JRPGs was with the Tales series, where when Tales of Rise was revealed back in 2019 on E3, I was blown away on how good it looks. I asked some of my friends who were Tales fans who told me about the series. And I'll give a special mention to one, even though I don't think she's watching this podcast right now. Her name is Ekag Mura. Ekag Mura. I'm sorry if I'm butchering that. It's hard to say out loud. But she gave me a full lecture on what the Tales series is, where to start, and I obviously did a Twitter poll of what Tales game I should start with, and the winner was Tales of Vesperia Definitive Edition. I played that, loved it, played about 9 more afterwards, and obviously when Arise came out, which I was super hyped for, I played it, loved it, was a massive Tales fan, and just continue playing many JRPGs even now to this day. So that's pretty much my story.
Well, I'll tell you, my opening with Tails actually goes all the way back to the Helicon days of the SNES. So a little bit about
Ah,
my story. So back when I was a Super Nintendo gamer, I had a Sega Genesis and a Super Nintendo. I was one of those lucky kids that had both. And the Super Nintendo was a system. Now there was only a couple RPGs I played on that one, but in general, my first dive into Tales was Tales of Fantasia on the
The first one.
on Super Nintendo. Now you might be thinking to yourself, like, well, Zoo, that game didn't come to America on the Super Nintendo, and you'd be right. So what I mean by my first foray into that was a reproduction cartridge that cost me about $100 back in the day on eBay. This is before they even had like
Huh.
the reproduction companies that basically took a fan translation, slapped that on a Super Nintendo EPROM cart, and even managed to get the special chip. So that was a special doozy, and it was that one in particular, that and Star Ocean, incredibly hard to track down at the time and incredibly expensive for a couple of reasons. First reason was because the fan translation had just recently been done. The second reason in those days, and this is like circa, gosh, this is like 2009, 2010. The other reason was the fact that in order to make a Star Ocean cartridge or a Tales of Fantasia cartridge, there was a proprietary chip that really only worked on one board. So you actually needed the game itself. You needed a Super Famicom copy of Star Ocean or Tales of Fantasia. So this made the work incredibly expensive to do. There wasn't a
Ah,
work,
that no,
yeah, it wasn't a
yeah,
workaround
that's
until much
interesting.
later. Yeah, it's a wild thing, but that's where I got my start in the series. Now, Tales of Fantasia, not my favorite one, having been able to play a few. Um, there was Tales of Tales of I want to say Tales of Symphonia, which is the one I played on the Wii via GameCube, was good. And
Hmm.
then there was a Tales game on, I can't remember which one it was, that I really enjoyed on the Nintendo Switch, of course. But I can't think of
Well, there's only a two, I believe. It's Vesperia Definitive Edition and
Vesperia.
recently Symphonia Room. Yeah,
I
Vesperia.
loved
Vesperia.
Vesperia in my time with it.
Yeah, me too. Great game. Absolutely glad it was my first Tales game as well.
Oh, that was your first one. Okay. And
Yeah, first one.
so now, of all the Tales games, what would you say your favorite is? Arise your favorite, or is there still one of those older ones that you like better?
Arise is currently my favorite at the moment, and mind you, I played only like 10 of them. Like, there's still a couple of more that some of them haven't, been re released or
Right.
come out overseas, obviously. So, but right now, Arise is probably my favorite out of the bunch. My second favorite would have to go to Tales of Berseria, the one that came before Arise. Third would have to be Tales of Exilia 2, which is the sequel to Tales of Exilia. That was on the PS3. Uh, Fourth one goes to Tales of Destiny DC, which was the second Tales game and actually even got a remake on the PS2. But obviously, I played with a fan translation and it was absolutely amazing. And fifth one is, yeah, Tales of Vesperia Definitive Edition. So that's my top five Tales list at the moment.
Okay.
Obviously, there's a few more I have to play, even though I played all the great ones like Abyss, Symphonia, Graces, those kind of good things. But yeah, those are my some of my favorite Tales games, and I'm happy also you mentioned Star Ocean as well because I recently been a fan of Star Ocean myself because I've learned the story about how former Tales devs worked on like Fantasia, but they decided to quit, make their own company, and make Star Ocean,
Yes.
and that became a series. Yeah,
Um, it's incredible that those games, what they were able to do on the Super Famicom on those games.
yeah, those two games, I believe, they was like some of the biggest games for the Famicom
They were,
itself.
yeah,
Like,
yeah. In particular, Star Ocean was just
yeah,
massive.
absolutely, Star Ocean. Yeah, I was fascinated by it as well. Like, wow, that big on how much the sound chip for that was. Wow.
Yeah, again, I could be wrong. I think it was like a 48 megabyte cart, like huge. Like it
Yeah,
was,
I think that's the case. Yeah.
yeah,
But yeah,
again, my
yeah,
history is hazy, but it was, yeah, it needed a special cartridge just to run that
yeah,
fucking thing, a special chip just to run that, and it was proof positive that the Super Nintendo still had some legs. Still had some
Yeah, it's
major
yes,
legs. That thing could have gone. That thing could have gone longer if not for them signing their own doom with the Philips CDI. I think.
yeah, yeah. I mean, it did have some legs, and obviously, it was lucky that they were still made to continue on because I believe that game did come out at the end of the Super Famicom's lifespan,
Hmm.
and obviously, they didn't ported all the way to the West, which was kind of a mistake, which thankfully they corrected with Star Ocean, the second story for the PS1. And obviously, I'm pretty sure you've already noticed now that that game has got a successful remake with Star Ocean, the second story, which I did recently pick up and will play at some point. Obviously, I'm currently busy with so many games. There's just not that much time, but I'm honestly very hyped for that game.
I
I
know
played
that
the
struggle,
demo of
homie.
yeah, I played the demo of that, and yeah, absolutely phenomenal. Like, I was just mind blown about it compared to say Star Ocean First Departure R, which was the remake for the first game, and then also I played Star Ocean 4: The Last Hope, which originally was from the 360 PS3 that got remastered, which was solid, and also the last game, Star Ocean Divine Force, which I absolutely loved, even if it did suffer on the budget side of things. Like it was very rough from a technical aspect. But other than that, solid game.
I hear a lot of good things about the Divine Force. That's one I hear. I do hear solid things. People tend to speak pretty decently of it. Star Ocean Second Departure. I'm super pumped to be able to play that on the Switch. I didn't know if I was going to be able to though, man. There was so much misinformation around that fucking game and what was on the cart that I wasn't
Oh
sure. Like,
yeah,
yeah, the whole there's a required download. Then it turns out it's just language patches. Um,
yeah,
which at
yeah. That
first,
was that
yeah,
was
that worried me.
insane.
That worried me, but yeah, God, and I got to tell you, I'm happy to see that Square completely fucking up the information, the consumer information on that didn't seem to hurt its sales because did you see the sales on that game? I think OJ from
yeah,
Player S instead of video on it.
yeah, I did.
Those
Yeah, I
Japanese
did see it.
sales are monstrous, bro.
Yeah, I was actually concerned. At first, I was a little bit concerned, but mind and I was in the mindset of how Square, release these games at the wrong place, wrong time, and they either don't sell well because of their big expectations and obviously all that stuff. But I was happy to see that Star Ocean Second Story did sell that great. Like there was lots of appeal to it, especially since it's regarded as the best Star Ocean game by
Oh, neat.
many. And
Okay.
yeah, absolutely. And obviously because it was on the Switch, that did help boost its sales, which I'm glad that that actually did well. And obviously, if you look at the score on Metacritic, I think it's around 85 to 86, which is the highest Star Ocean has now been recently. That is phenomenal. I'm happy to see Star Ocean thriving well with Second Story R, and I hope the series can continue to keep doing that, keep up that momentum, because and just bring back the series in a new light in a sense. But yeah, absolutely happy to see it. Love to see it. And before I go on, I would just want to another chat. And Nish Quick talked. Nish Quick popped in here, and
Yeah.
yeah, oh, that's amazing. Yeah, sure.
Yeah,
Yeah,
Nick Quick's
sure.
been on the show a couple times. I think he'll probably hop on later on and listen either live or listen later on. But yeah, he's been on the show a couple of times. We've had a couple of real good chin wags, but Nick Quick and I.
Yeah, I believe I discovered you because of Nish Quick.
Oh, coolness. Well, yeah, thanks a million, Nish. Appreciate that, man. But yeah, no, he's a cool guy. We had yeah, he's the one who encouraged me to play Xenoblade Chronicles 2, kind of give that a second shot.
Phenomenal.
I'm so glad he did because my I think if you heard that chat, basically my first foray into Xenoblade 2, it's like, man, I love the world but I don't know, Rex comes across as a little bit of a dork, which I think that's part of the point of his character is, gosh, in a world that nihilistic, the fact that he was able to keep that spirit alive, and then the combat's like, what the fuck is this combat system? But if you're willing to persevere through that, you'll be given one of the most nuanced and most interesting takes on nihilism I think I've ever seen. And as someone who delves a little bit into that ideology, it was so refreshing to see like the both the positives and the negatives, like all encompassing view of nihilism and what to do in a doomed world, and basically the fact that yeah, in this world that is essentially getting ready to end, yeah, there is no inherent meaning. There's nobody to give you that meaning except for the meaning that you give your life. And Rex did a terrific job of giving meaning to his own existence with trying to keep his friends happy, upbeat, of trying to solve this issue even when it wasn't solvable.
No, no, that's awesome. Yeah, that's actually yeah one thing I do love about Xenoblade 2 for a thematic level about the whole nihilism, about the whole like showing that the world's going to end, and if there's something to be salvaged from that world, given that well, obviously Rex is a salvager himself, so it does make good sense on that front. And yeah, I do understand the obviously on how Rex can be a little bit a dog, especially when its voice acting is grating at times, though he does warm up in sort of the later
Hmm.
chapters. Obviously, the voice direction for Xenoblade 2 is kind of non existent, apart from, say, maybe Malos, for example, who was one of the best villains I've ever seen in a JRPG,
Malos was
especially in the
really
Xenoblade
good.
series. Yeah, absolutely phenomenal.
Malos was
But
really, really good, and I want to just juxtapose it because I haven't played three yet, but I played
yeah,
Xenoblade One, and Xenoblade One again in terms of execution, Xenoblade One definitely up there with top tier games, and I was actually one of the people who participated in Project Rainmaker to try to get that fucking game over here to the West, and so
Operation Rainfall.
are you familiar with that?
Yeah, absolutely. I did a retrospective with that, and I also actually even had Niche Quick collab on that front. Yeah.
Oh hell yeah, man! Yeah, so yeah, basically, I wasn't anybody important or anything. I was just one of the people signing petitions and writing Nintendo and things like that. I wasn't an organizer or anything, so I don't want to puff it up too much what I actually did there. But I participated in the effort, and it really feels good. I actually in my review on flipping the switch is basically a retrospective of how both the characters in that game and the fans here in North America and Europe um, basically did the same thing. We failed the Titan and we defied a god, quote unquote, in terms of corporate Nintendo,
Yeah.
and we changed our destinies. And it's it kind of loops it in, and yeah, it's a little dramatic, but I mean, you got to understand that didn't just get Xenoblade here. That changed the game on region locking for Nintendo as well.
Yeah,
It
absolutely,
was
absolutely.
a barnstormer of a moment. It was a real sea change. And I think Nintendo has massively benefited from not region locking. Back in the Super Nintendo day, it was easy to fix a region lock as long as the game was playable, and either you could read Japanese or the game didn't require Japanese to play. It's as easy as breaking some fucking tabs in that Super Nintendo. But later on, you had very complicated region locks that you basically would have to have some kind of computer know how to do, and so it limited the ability of some of the ability to people to get games. I kind of liken it to a game that you guys got in Europe that we never got over here, and that was Terra Enigma. And if you've never played Terra Enigma or any of the Soul Blazer games, oh, Kaiser, you got to check them out, man. Terra Enigma is probably one of my top 25, top 30 of all time. And it's an action
Sure,
RPG literally on par with Zelda A Link to the Past, like right under.
sure. That does. Yeah, that game does also look pretty interesting. I'll definitely check it out at some point.
It's
Somewhere to
incredible.
pick, but yeah, but yeah. Honestly, that was quite a movement for that petition to work. That obviously changed the way obviously yeah Nintendo would handle things, and especially that was a turning point for Xenoblade itself, given the whole story on how I did say, if you watch on my retrospective, obviously Xenoblade was like the third chance that Tetsuya Takahashi had his chance, to finally complete his vision of his two
Yes.
rather unsuccessful attempts, like one for Xenogears back at Squaresoft and one for Xenosaga back at Bandai Namco. So obviously, and given on how for Xenoblade One, he was given more freedom. Xenoblade One was given more freedom just to create this masterpiece of a game, which thankfully is now experienced, especially with the Nintendo Switch version. Which, by the way, Xenoblade One absolutely rocks. Thumbs
Oh,
up
it's
for
great.
me. Absolutely amazing. And yeah, the Switch era in general was really paved the way for Xenoblade. That gave pretty much that made Xenoblade more popular and became a strong point for the series. I think it has reached its heights. I don't think even like the past games he worked on could ever reach that level, given how much freedom and how much he was able to do to make his vision complete work in a sense. It was just phenomenal. Like we got Xenoblade 1, 2, 3, their expansions, hell, Pyra, Mithra, and Shoka and Smash. The only thing that's left needed is Xenoblade X from the Wii U onto the Switch at this point.
I want it. Come on,
Me
Nintendo.
too.
I want it because
Come
that's
on, you
one
can
I'd
do
like.
it.
That's one I'd like an opportunity to actually get real in depth and play. Um,
Yeah.
for sure. It's kind of the last great Wii U title, isn't it?
Yeah, definitely. And yeah, definitely.
I think we'll see it.
I mean, yeah, I think we'll see at some point, sometime, maybe if the rumors are true, like it could be a cross gen or cross gen thing for like both the Nintendo Switch and the next Nintendo system at this point, since I do know that Xenoblade X it's quite a big game for the Wii U itself. Like wow.
Yeah, if I remember right, you literally had to install something in there, um, just to just to get it to play and not take forever to load. Like,
Yeah, I think that was the case. I wonder if like maybe in the case where if it does get like a port or remaster, they might have to do a workaround to obviously not do that again.
right?
Obviously, like I'm not really a tech guy who fully knows about game development, so probably don't ask me entirely. But I do think that obviously for Xenoblade X, if it's getting like a definitive edition, probably that's the case. They'll obviously want to maybe even bring some of the online features from that game because I know that thing has like online multiplayer and all that stuff. So
Pretty
that'll be
fun
good
too, from what
for
I gather.
yeah, pretty fun too. Like, I think that'll be the case. Like obviously, hopefully the next Nintendo system will have like better multiplayer in a sense. I don't know.
Well, good luck with
Nintendo's
that.
yeah. Good luck. That's
Yeah, that's a
a
fucking
man
pipe
can
dream.
dream.
But that said, like I don't even like it may be cross platform, but I think we'll actually see it on the OG Switch. That's one of the things that if you ever seen me on Twitter, like one of the things that before all the flood of Switch 2 rumors and before RGT85 was making 100 Switch 2 videos a month, um, I was on Twitter saying crazy things like Nintendo's actions don't look like they intend to end the Switch anytime soon. And lo and behold, that became the case. I'm sure you saw the articles showing the future outlooks, the future outlook slide, and how they're going to
Yeah,
continue to be release titles and maintain and expand user engagement with the Switch. And you had
yeah, that is
Furukawa
true.
coming out and saying, "Yeah, all these Switch 2 rumors, none of that, all that's bullshit. None of that's happening. We're committed to the Switch." So lo and behold, once again, I one of my favorite sayings. I have two things that I love to say. First is it's okay to be wrong. Okay, and
Yeah,
I mean that for myself as well as everybody else because being wrong is a chance to recalibrate your reality perception, essentially.
oh
So
for
if
sure.
if you're
Yeah,
if you're correct, and what I mean by that is, how does one know if they're accurately predicting reality, since human brains really aren't built to do that well? That we didn't really evolve to discern reality well because it's not something we had to do in order to maintain our species, right? So the only real way you can tell if you're discerning reality correctly is if your lens on reality predicts. So I say X is going to happen and X happens, then you've got a pretty good grasp, at least on this aspect of reality. If I say X is going to happen and Y happens, time to recalibrate that, rather than go into cognitive dissonance and just pretend like everybody's wrong but fucking me. So it's okay to be wrong. The second thing I love to
yeah,
tell people is that time converts more than reason. And so here we are with Nintendo's president coming out. And it does look like it finally appears that the Switch isn't going to go away anytime soon, like I've tried to tell these peeps, right? You don't release a mainline Mario and Zelda game, a 2D Mario and a mainline classical style Zelda game in the same fucking year and then kill the system the next year. You just don't fucking do that. And
Yeah,
I
that is true.
tried to tell them, but
Yeah.
and here we are. But and again, how do you maintain momentum? Well, you give us games like Xenoblade Chronicles X. The Xenoblade series seems to have pretty incredible momentum. There is a thing called the Switch effect that Nintendo went over in their last financials, which is that every fucking game, whether it's third party, whether it's first party, that goes on the Switch has a huge boost in sales. Look at how Persona 5 did when it came over. Finally,
Yeah.
after Atlas stopped being weird. And I guess
Yeah.
that would be my next question for you is um, and don't give me this shit about they couldn't run it. It runs The Witcher 3. We, games that you really love that I really would love to play, but I'm a Switch only gamer. Tales of Arise and Scarlet Nexus. Both those fucking games rank really high on that list. Why the
Yeah, I
and if you look at the sales, I think Arise did okay, but I think Scarlet Nexus struggled. And I
yeah,
think that might have been avoidable had it been on the Switch and had they taken the time to get that over to the Nintendo Switch.
yeah, no, that is true. I do remember it did reach around like only just 1 million units, which for new IP that is decent in a sense. But I do agree that I do think OJ said it himself that Bandai Namco didn't have much faith in the Switch, and once they recently saw its massive success, they started putting their games that skip the Switch, like I think Dragon Ball Z Kakarot, for example, and some Sword Art Online games, for example, came onto the Switch quite late. So I do definitely think, oh hey, Mad Belmont, yep, it's both of us together.
Cats and dogs living
Pleasure.
together, mass hysteria. What's going on, Belmont?
Yeah, what up, man? But back to the point. Yeah, I do think Scar Nexus and Tales of Rise will probably be on the Switch or like Switch 2 in a sense. I think I'm one of the believers that Scar Nexus can actually run on the Switch, even with the whole Unreal Engine 4, because I'm mainly basing this off, like, say, the PS4 specs because I know it's not demanding. Like, you can get like 30 frames off, you can get like a decent resolution, that kind of thing running on the Switch. It's fine. I mean, Scar Nexus is not a big game if you look at the file size from the things to compress and all that stuff.
Right.
I think it can do just fine.
Oh, it absolutely
Tales of
could.
Rise, yeah, Tales of Rise, yeah. Not much, just editing and doing some research for writing. That's awesome. As for Tales of Rise, I do think, yeah, at some point they're obviously going to do it now that they've announced the whole DLC thing. I think again it's Bandai Namco just playing it like being a little bit too late, like better late than never. So I do think at this point they'll bring Tales of Rise and Beyond the Dawn as a fully complete thing for this Nintendo Switch, and obviously I think that will help boost its sales. I think right now Arise is sitting around like somewhere over 2 million. I haven't fully updated
Yeah,
checked the
that's a
updates.
success for a Tales game. That's absolutely a
Yeah,
success.
that's an absolute success for a Tales game, no doubt. Like that was like one of the fastest selling Tales games I remember doing so well. So I do think once the dust is settled, they'll obviously do that, and obviously it's going to sell more. And yeah, those are two games I think deserve to be on the Switch as much as
100%.
say on Persona 5. And actually, speaking about the whole Persona thing on how Persona 5 finally came to Switch, I think another topic I want to bring is on how Persona 3 Reload, the remake, has decided to skip the Switch despite obviously that obviously
It's
how they
it's
just
yeah.
literally bought Persona 3 portable golden 5 onto Switch after seeing the rather unsuccessful Soul Hackers 2 not doing so well, and obviously seeing how successful Shin Megami Tensei 5 was, especially for the Switch.
Oh, it's
So
a marvelous
yeah,
game
that's
too, man.
probably well, yeah, I shouldn't expect too much from Atlas. I mean, Atlas does Atlas things,
Atlas
but yeah,
does
that's another.
Atlas things. That is the best way I've ever heard that fucking put. You're absolutely right. And that's the thing. And the thing I wish Atlas would understand, and again, I'm just a drunk asshole on the internet. I shouldn't have to tell Atlas this. They should know this. Video games are a
Yeah,
momentum based business. Okay. And I would say the same thing to Namco Bandai. Video games are a momentum based business. And what I mean by that is that you only have one start. And I think this whole culture of having patches and having downloadable content and day one patches and, oh, we can just patch problems away. Well, yeah, you can technically do that, but actually, no, you fucking can't because it's a momentum based business. And once you have that bad start, same thing with a false start in a race, or you have a false start in a race, you're out. And that tends to be what happens with video games. If you look, you only have that one chance. Just like in real life, you only have one shot at a first impression. It's called a first impression for a reason. And if your first impression is a bug ridden mess, or your first impression is only being available on two out of the three platforms, the two least selling platforms, by the way, mind you, then
yeah,
I think that I don't I do think the Switch is going to help them when they finally get their head out of their ass and do it, but it's not what it could have been. I think Persona
yeah,
5, if it had launched day and date with the Nintendo Switch, as soon as the Nintendo Switch could do it, as soon as they got, or even a little bit after, day and date is so important. But if you can do it in that window, that would have been much higher. And Atlas is going to learn this the hard way with Persona 3 Reloaded. The
yeah,
fact that that
absolutely.
game is not on a system that is an RPG machine like the Nintendo Switch, where customers
Hmm.
clearly buy JRPGs like they buy it like the shit's gonna rot. The fact that
Yeah,
they're not putting that out there, and here's the thing, they're not skipping the Switch. Fucking Atlas isn't skipping the Switch. They're gonna
yeah,
that game will be on the Switch fucking 5 years from now, when all of the momentum is out of the fucking Persona sales and Persona 7's out. That's when that fucking thing's gonna drop on the Switch, and then it'll do well because it's a good game. Persona 3, I hear, is a fantastic game, and those updates look
yeah. It's a solid
genuinely
game.
good. So, but I don't think I think they're leaving money on the table by waiting as long as they do. I just do. And it will never cease to amaze me how otherwise smart companies, not talking about Konami, fuck them, they're stupid. But companies like Sega, who's a smart company, companies like Namco Bandai, who's a smart company, will literally leave that money on the table and lose that launch window. Got some more people filling in. Rad Bash is up. What's going on, Rad?
Yo, Rad Bash from the Radical Losers.
Yep, Radical Losers in the house. Red Bash, what's up, man? We're just discussing the fact that somehow these companies, we're 7 years into the Nintendo Switch, and these companies can't figure out where their fucking bread's buttered if they make JRPGs. Um, so that's okay. You know, they want to languish on Sony. That's fine. But I'm
Yeah,
telling you, especially
yeah,
Scarlet Nexus, come over. Come
hmm
over. The water's warm over here. The
yeah.
water's nice.
Come on, it will absolutely be great. It's actually suited. I mean, you guys played Astral Chain. You love that. You're gonna love Scar Nexus. Just saying, when it comes to Switch, come
All
on,
right,
Bandai.
so what I want to do real quick, because I made a
Yeah,
statement and it was not a substantiated statement, so we're actually going to put this through the evil king of numbers zoo ringer. We're gonna run it through the macroeconomic analysis. Everybody, take a shot.
yep,
I want to take a look at the Tails series over time, and we'll see if I said Tails did good, but then I realized I'm talking out of my asshole because I don't know that the fucking Tales of Arise did good. We're gonna find out. We're gonna find out here together.
right.
So let me pour a drink here. Oh, by the way, I'm having Blanton's tonight. I think where you're at, you're actually on a post brunch drink. What are you having to drink, buddy?
I'm just having just some water. I'm just having some apple juice.
Just apple juice. Well, apple juice is good shit, and that puts you part of the Kool-Aid Club. So that's awesome. Um,
Oh yeah,
oh yeah. You know what? Again, this is my every time somebody comes in not drinking alcohol, I just want to make my pitch to whoever owns the Kool-Aid company to bring back mango berry Kool-Aid, Island Swiss. Bring it back, you son of a bitches. It was the best Kool-Aid, and it's not even close. Okay, so real quick, I'm going to go ahead
Right.
and I'm learning technology, so I'm kind of experimenting with tab sharing tonight. Okay, so we're going to share this tab instead, and hopefully you guys can see my screen here. Okay, hoping you can see it. And this is Tails. This is the Tails series sales. Okay, so Tales of Fantasia. Now already we're off to a bad start for Tales of Arise. I hate to tell us. Um, so 1.4, almost $1.5 million in 1990. Well, we'll say 2006, but there's a lot of stuff. So PlayStation is going to be the year. So let's use this year for ease's sake, because we're going to do a basic macroeconomic analysis. So in 1998, we did 769,000. Okay, so we'll call it that. Tales of Destiny comes out, and its main system is PlayStation. The rest, I'm guessing, are re-releases. So we're going to use 1997. So in 1997, we got 1,139,000. Okay. And so right there, it looks like the looks like Tales of Fantasia came out later, so that's interesting. So we're not going to use that data. Where the series really seems to pick up is going to be Tales of Eternia. So that's 873,000. We'll start there since those releases seem like they were like 1 year apart, and the first game came out later. So okay, then we go to Tales of Destiny, 977,000. So now you would say, okay, that's an update, right? But again, man, these are weird releases, by the way, because yeah, we got Tales of Eternia was 2000, Tales of Destiny 2, 2002. Okay, so there we go. So now 2000 to 2002, 873,000 to 977,000. That's going to be right on the cusp of population. And what I mean by population growth is, in 2002 there were more people than in 2000, right? So is 977,000 that much more than 873,000? Probably not. So just keep that in mind as we go on. Tales of Symphonia comes in with some big growth. So Tales of Symphonia was 1 year later in 2003. It did 1.6 million. Now that's going to beat 1 year of population growth. That's growth. So that's fantastic. Tales of Rebirth, we went backwards. 605. We went backwards bad. So we don't even have to do the macroeconomic analysis there. That's not a healthy series. Tales of Legendia, even worse, 397,000 on the DVD player. Now I want you to keep in mind the DVD player's install base was 155 million at the end. Okay, so you have population growth plus you've got the DVD player's 155 million install base. That's a shitter right there. That's an absolute shitter. Tales of Abyss did a little bit better, same year. And I can already tell you what's going on here from my analysis. They're putting too many fucking games out too fast. Market can't absorb all these Tales games. 734,000. Tales of Innocence did 261,097, but that was an early DS game. So Tales of Vesperia came in, and it looks like did 614,000, and then so yeah, I don't even have to do like this is all. The main numbers we want to look at is 2.7 million. And let's do what's the let's and then 1.6 million would be the next one. So that would be Tales of, where was it? Vesperia. Nope, not Tales of Vesperia. Tales of Symphonia. So 1.6 million in 2003 and 2004. So we'll call it 2004. So we went from 1.6 million in 2004 all the way to 2.7 million in 2021. Okay. Or in 20, yeah, okay. So you see my point there, right? Okay.
Hey, Rush Dog. Yep. Macro macroeconomics. Yeah.
Yeah, you hit me. You popped in right at the same time. So the martinis and macroeconomics. Yeah, if I drank martinis, that would work for sure. Um, so yeah, basically what I want to do here is what was the population? Let me just type this in. Fuck out of here. All right, there it goes. I can't even handle my fucking browser. I'm so boomer brain. Global population 2021. We were at 7.9 billion people. Okay, remember that for me. Okay,
Yeah, 7.9 billion people.
and then we're going to change this to 2004. Okay, 6.4 billion people.
Mm,
I'll remember that one.
right.
All right, percentage calculator. So we want a percentage from 6.4 zeros, right?
Yeah, I can see it.
Okay, and we want to then go to, and what was the number for? What was
Right.
your
You said
number?
2 point, yeah,
7.2.
2.7, you said?
Or 2.7, but what was the population in 2021?
Was it 7.9 million or was it, no, 6.4 million?
Let's do it again real quick.
I believe.
Be sure about this. 7.9 billion. You were right.
All right. Sure.
Okay. 7.9. What's going on with this fucking mouse? Okay, there it is. 7.9. And then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 zeros. There we go. Oh, something went wrong. Too many zeros. Try it again. There it goes. 23% increase. Okay.
Ah,
So what is 23%
yeah,
of? This is how this is done, baby. What is
I see.
23% of 1.6 million? Oh, what is it? Oh, let's see. We
Mm,
gotta spell it out. 16000. 368,000. Pull the calculator up. I showed everybody how the sausage is made tonight. Basic fucking macroeconomic pop growth adjustment that no goddamn fucking journalist can be bothered to do in this stupid fucking industry. Sorry, I'm sick of it. 368,000 plus 1.6 million. Okay, so the adjusted population increase would be 1.968 billion, and Tales of Arise handedly beat that. So yes, it was a success. So my statement now is actually backed up. Now there's other adjustments you have to make. For example, China opened up to
yeah.
Tales of Arise had the Chinese market, whereas Tales of Symphonia did not have the Tales market in 2004. There's all kinds of different things you have to look into account, but that's a basic way to just kind of test to see, was this really a success in terms of pop growth, and it was. So yep, Tales of Arise doing fine, doing absolutely fine. So
Yeah.
um hope I didn't bore everybody with that, but it just I had to
Nah.
self check my data. So yeah,
Yeah, no, it's good to self check.
Tales of Rise is doing just fine. But yeah, isn't that interesting how you never see that with the games press? Isn't that really interesting?
Yeah, yeah, you don't.
Like it's every
You know,
game, every fucking
yeah.
game is the fastest selling game. Every single fucking game, it's always fastest selling, and I'm sitting here, I'm not impressed by that. Like, and I know all kinds of other video makers love to put, oh, it's the fastest selling game. No fucking shit, it's the fastest selling game. It came out in 2023, homie. Like, if it wasn't the fastest selling game, there'd be a fucking problem. There's more
Yeah,
open
that is.
there's more open markets, there's gamers getting older and having more disposable income, there's more population growth. No shit, it's the fastest selling game. What should be a problem is when it's not the fastest selling game, which is a lot of the time, more often than not.
Yeah, that is true. And obviously, with Tales of Rise, especially on how things have attracted, like on how, has a new visual art style, combat's more retooled, refined in a sense, and it does serve as an anniversary title for a series. So, as well as also, it was also aiming to be more of a worldwide market kind of thing. Like it was no longer, back in the old days, mostly some of them would be exclusive to Japan or just released in Japan first, then maybe in the West, either 1 year or 2 years later. For Rise, it was mostly a simultaneous worldwide release.
That helps,
Obviously,
yeah.
yeah, that those aspects helped, and obviously with the
Well, yeah,
whole
because
good, yeah, with the good
keep in mind what I said.
reviews and all that stuff, yeah, that did help all that stuff. And the marketing was for us was very strong. I do remember on how prevalent that was, like around Twitter, social media, on how Steam charts and Amazon pre-orders were just overblown. But yeah. Oh, hey, Nishkik's finally here.
Yeah, he's
What
back.
up?
Yeah, he's back in just to get into the sales wonk talk. Hey, Nish, what's going on, buddy? And yes, happy Diwali. If anybody celebrates, happy Diwali today.
Yep.
As Rush stated. But hey, Nish, yeah, you popped in just as we were literally putting Tales of Arise through the evil king of numbers crunching. So it passed, by the way. Tales of Arise
Yeah.
seems to be a success by all measures. But yeah, in general, now you mentioned another game which was Kingdom Hearts, which is a series I've actually never fucking played.
Yeah.
Because again, I didn't have hardly any experience with the DVD player. And then on the Switch, they gave us those awful fucking uh what do they even call it? The fucking the sky game. It was in the sky or whatnot. Like
Chosen the Sky, I think
no,
was.
no, no. It was no. It's a Kingdom Hearts game, but they put it online only where you have to stream it.
Oh no, the
It's in the
cloud
cloud
version's rushed.
version.
Up.
Okay,
No, oh
okay,
god, I
fuck.
forgot
Okay,
about. Oh man,
yeah.
no.
So I never got to play any of those.
Oh,
Like according to Square, I only get the musical rhythm game. That's what
you
I
got
deserve to
yeah
get.
the Melody of Memory rhythm game. Oh my
Right.
god, score.
Yeah, Square. Yeah,
Oh
Square is.
man,
I don't understand Square. I'll be honest with you.
yeah,
How
that
hard
really
How hard would it have been
was
to put every one of those? I'm not asking for you to put them all on one disc. Like, how hard would it have been to
cartridge.
put every single one, like Kingdom Hearts 1 through 3, on their own fucking cartridge? Switch tax the shit out. Call it 40 or 50 bucks. People buy it. People
Yeah,
absolutely. I
absolutely.
would. I'd buy it.
Absolutely. Even Kingdom Hearts fans who probably own, the games on like PlayStation 4,
Probably
PC, Xbox, they'll definitely get another one just to, play the games again, but on the go. That's because
one
Kingdom
hundred
Hearts,
percent.
obviously, back then, yeah, so Kingdom Hearts back then also had, a thing with both PlayStation and Nintendo, like some bridge titles for like the Nintendo DS, 3DS, GBA kind of thing. So having like the main games, with the exception of Melody Memory, just not native is just a slap in the face. Especially considering the fact that this announcement was right after when Sora from Kingdom Hearts got into Smash. That that's pretty much like a tone shift right there. Like that's like a tone to whiplash, I would say. Like,
Oh yeah.
oh, finally, Sora's into Smash. It's like, oh, the Kingdom Hearts series are coming to Switch. Only for Cloud.
No, they did the same
Uh,
thing. Atlas's weird ass did the same thing with Joker in Smash.
uh,
Like I'll never forget. Like I was one of those guys because I really wanted to play Persona 5, and I'll never forget like the constant drumbeat of is Persona 5 going to come to Switch, and I'll never forget we had the Joker Smash announcement, and then they had this they literally had a website that was Persona 5S, and it was like we know what you've been longing for or something announcement at like in my time because it was a Japanese Persona 5 concert. After the concert, we're going to share this new game announcement. And we all fucking knew it was going to be Persona 5 Switch version because that's the S, right? And then we get
yeah, that is
online, and
true.
we get online, and it was the fucking strikers. It was the Phantom Strikers, and we're like Sinbad in fucking Jingle All the Way when he's like, oh, you can get Turbo's Pal Booster. We're like, we don't want it. We don't want it. We were so mad. We were all so mad.
Yeah, that's kind of thing. It's like, and the funny thing about releasing on the Switch, well, those cloud versions, is immediately afterwards we did get things like, as I said, well, Near Automata was on the Switch and that was native, which, again, some people doubted that would even come to the Switch, obviously, because it's more open world compared to, like, say, the other Platinum games, and like they thought it could never run, but it actually was very smooth. It was actually a surprise port. Like that was mind blowing. And of course, you mentioned Persona 5, coming to the Switch
Yeah,
and that running very well. So that comparing those two games compared to like say Kingdom Hearts on the cloud is just that's just like
I don't
wow.
understand
Square
Square.
had yeah,
And again, I
not
wish
good.
I wish people, because there's always, well, but can it run on Switch? The fucking thing runs Crisis, Witcher 3, Doom Eternal. Get it through your heads, okay, guys? If you're listening, hey, everybody, listen to me. Get get in close. Gather around your speaker. Get in close. Hey, if they want to put it on the Switch can run it. I promise you.
That's true. I do think that they should have taken a book from like say Capcom with the whole Devil May Cry games where I feel like they should like, have because they took those three games from the HD collection and just, split it apart. So you have like Devil May Cry 1, Devil May Cry 2, and Devil May Cry 3 Special Edition, especially the latter, which is the best version of Devil May Cry 3, all separate, easy to purchase, that kind of thing. I think if the cartridge is too much for like the entire collection, then just split them up.
Piece it
Maybe
out.
even split them up like on how the PS3 versions of like 1.5, and then you have one for 2.5, and you have another for 2.8.
Yeah, yeah. Rush Dog says they put Mortal Kombat on the Game Boy. They can put any PS4, PS5 game on the Switch. Yep, one
Yeah,
hundred
that is
percent.
absolutely true.
And then yeah, laugh out loud. Persona 5 scrambled. This says yeah, yeah. Strikers is
Yeah,
the
that
new.
is.
Strikers is the new milking the Persona 5 cow till the nipples are sore and there's nothing but dry evaporated milk coming out. That's the new Persona 5
Yeah,
exploitation
that's
game.
especially with the case with Persona 5 Tactica that's coming, and obviously people probably barely even notice that's a thing coming, and obviously you can see why because Persona 5 has been out and has been milked to death now, so obviously the
Yeah.
burnout is there.
I saw a good
So
YouTube video. I'm not sure who put it out, but shout out to whoever did that. It's time to move on from Persona 5.
I think his name is Nan's Compendium, I believe.
Nam's
Yeah,
Compendium. Okay, that's it. Thank you for that. Yeah, that's the one. And Nish also makes a great point. Nish says Switch ports are most of the time always possible. And that's what I'm saying. If they want to do it, they can. But he adds the addendum. It just depends on if they want to spend the time and the money to do it. Switch Miracle ports are
absolutely.
never easy and they take a long time to develop. So he's right. A lot of times, and again, part of this is the third party just doesn't have confidence in doing it
Yeah,
because of the effort, and they do the R&D, they do the numbers crunching. But I do think they're, especially with JRPGs, I think they vastly underestimate the demand for a good quality JRPG on this machine. Because of
yeah.
the on the go nature, it is the perfect fucking device for these longer games.
Yeah, absolutely, truly. Especially the fact that, well, with Square Enix, they were the ones that did the thing with Dragon Quest 11. They did the thing with Dragon Quest 11. I'm pretty sure you guys know about Dragon Quest 11 Definitive Edition,
Yes.
where that game was like remade from the ground up exclusively for Switch. Like it wasn't like ported from the PS4, the original Dragon Quest 11. It was a completely new game retooled entirely for the Switch. Like, and they obviously ported that to like modern consoles and all that stuff. Like that was such a gotcha magical moment for Square, and honestly, I do think that they should use that for like other things, like maybe not entirely, but for some of the more demanding games to like say come for Switch, like maybe they could do that. I know it probably cost them a lot of money, but then obviously sometimes some risk does come with a reward, they would say.
Risk reward, of course. I will
Yeah,
mention, since you mentioned Dragon Quest 11, if nobody's played this yet that's listening, definitely check that one out. It is as close as you can get to the feeling of a Final Fantasy VI without playing Final Fantasy VI. And I will just that's all I'll say. That's all I'll say in case there's people in the chat that
that's all you say.
Final Fantasy VI,
Yeah,
probably one of my favorite games ever, and Dragon
yeah,
Quest
absolutely
11.
amazing.
Yeah, have you played 6? Okay, yeah.
Oh yeah, I played the Pixel Master on
So
it.
you
Yeah,
know
on PC.
exactly what I mean when we talk about
Yeah,
a later thing
phenomenal.
that happens halfway through. And Final Fantasy 11, they did it. They actually did the Final Fantasy 6 thing, and they did it in a way that was marvelously effective. Like Sylvando's whole journey in that second half is some of the best storytelling. Like, I fucking love that character, man.
Yeah, I did play I think quite a lot of Dragon Quest 11
So good.
Definitive Edition, and I haven't obviously finished it. Of course, I like to get back to it. I'm just finding some orbs, I believe, just some
Okay.
magical orbs.
So
But yeah, Sylvando is a great character. He's absolutely funny. I absolutely love him. And also, I actually also should have answered Nish Quick's thing in the chat. Yes, I did play a little bit of Beyond the Dawn and currently enjoying it. Absolutely loved it. Definitely look forward to my review of it at some point, obviously. But yeah, back to Dragon Quest. And yes, Gallant Mon. Yeah, Dragon Quest did use orchestral music for the
yes.
definitive version, I believe.
Well,
Yeah.
welcome to the chat
I,
too, Gallant Mon.
yeah, welcome to the chat as well.
Yeah, the orchestral music was really well done on the Switch version in particular. Now, a lot of people have some major critiques of that music on the original PlayStation entry. Apparently, I've only heard clips, so I've not heard all of it to encompass the.
Me too,
But
yeah.
oh my gosh, it sounds like straight dookie on the PlayStation. And
Yeah.
that
Oh my.
and full
Yeah.
disclosure, that's not PlayStation 4 and PlayStation's fault.
Absolutely.
This is the composer who is a little bit of a character, and one of the ways in which he is kind of a strange character, kind of a strange cat, is he will not, until very recently, I'm not sure how they did it, but the guy would not allow any orchestral versions of his actual soundtracks to be in the games themselves, because he felt he felt he wanted to financially sell that at actual orchestral concerts instead. So we were stuck with this dookie music from this guy, who's apparently a very talented composer, for years, because basically if you wanted to hear the orchestral version, you had to pay him and go see his orchestra.
Yeah. Wow. Just yeah. I mean, I did listen to a bit of orchestral. Well, yeah, I did listen a bit to that MIDI version of the
Oh,
music, and oh my god, it was so bad.
wow, wow.
Now, yeah, now I understand that Dragon Quest music. Well, I know some might not consider it to be favored among, even with the orchestral music. I know compared to a lot of other JRPG soundtracks, it's not
Yeah.
100% favored.
OJ's not a
To
fan.
be
Yeah, for one. Like,
Yeah, I mean, I'm in sort of in the gray area where I kind of like it, but sometimes I'm like, it's passable. I mean, it doesn't do anything bad or good, so I can just leave it out. Even though I do like the main theme of Dragon Quest in general, I can remember that. So
well, and
that's
um, the Dragon Quest 3 actually has some of the best music in the series.
yeah. I'm looking forward to the remake. Actually,
Yeah, where is it?
where is
Yeah,
yeah where
yeah, we kind of need that. We need some news on that. Yeah, the HD 2D remake looks
2D?
incredible.
Yeah,
Um,
absolutely phenomenal.
and that brings, so we have Dragon Quest 11, we have Dragon Quest 3 on the Switch, and well, they haven't really announced platforms, but it's gonna be on the Switch. Um,
Yeah, absolutely.
and
And same goes with Dragon Quest 12, which I think a lot of us will bet that the reason why it's been quiet all of a sudden is because they obviously might be, putting it also on the next Nintendo system, because Dragon Quest and Nintendo are sort of buddies in
mhm.
a sense.
Yeah,
They sort of,
well, and if you look at Dragon Quest, like throughout its history, where does Dragon Quest launch? It's the system with the highest install base, always.
yeah,
Go back
absolutely,
and look.
yeah,
Every system Dragon Quest has been on. So Dragon Quest was on the Super.
Nintendo.
It was on the NES. It was on the Super Nintendo. Then it was on the PlayStation. Then it was on the DVD player, and then it was the DS. It's always on the highest performing platform.
Yeah,
They go for that install base, baby, every time. Very smart, actually. And
Yeah,
so
very
it's
smart.
well, it's the
Yeah, they
same
also
thing.
did put Dragon Quest 8 on the 3DS, I believe, as well.
Yes, yeah, they ended up getting a 3DS version, and it's kind of like there's these arrangements always interest me. Like for example, until very recently, with uh, with Atlas, it was always the Shin Megami Tensei games were on Nintendo systems, and the Persona games were on PlayStation systems. Now, I don't think there was ever an agreement to do that. Again, I think it's just Atlas doing Atlas things, as you put it.
Yeah,
But it begs the question: when are we going to get Shin Megami Tensei over to our thirsty, desperate peeps on the PlayStation 4 and the PlayStation 5 who need to be able to experience that game? Again, I'm not an exclusive fanboy. I want everybody to enjoy good games. So,
yeah,
um,
absolutely. The more platforms, the better.
yes. So I do wonder if we're ever going to get Shin Megami Tensei because hey, Switch got Persona. Are we ever going to get Shin Megami Tensei on Sony? And notice I don't mention Microsoft because they don't seem to play JRPGs. I'm sorry. Um,
Yeah,
that's the thing. I'm not, and again, I'm not saying that it shouldn't be on Microsoft systems, but you got to show them why. Like the companies crunch the numbers and they just say, okay, yeah, these guys, it's not Doritos, it's not Mountain Dew, and it's not Call of Duty. So we're going to go ahead and just keep this on the Switch and on the PlayStation. So if you guys want to diversify that library, it's up to you guys to do that. Like you got to show them the numbers.
yeah, that is true. Um, yeah, and the thing is, yeah, obviously with Dragon Quest 3 HD 2D remake, that's obviously coming to Switch as well as Dragon Quest 12. Given the fact that, well, what we know so far about it is, well, actually no. Before I talk about Dragon Quest, I just want to read this comment by Rush Tug. And this is
Yeah.
Sega, and Sega makes some weird decisions about what systems to release their games on. That is true. Matt Belmont, I'm probably one of the few that does play JRPGs on Xbox. I'm one of those guys as well. Don't worry, you're not alone on that, obviously. And yeah, Sega has to release a Yakuza game on the
How
Switch. Oh my
fucking
god.
crazy is that? And Rush Dog, tell him why, because I forget why in my inebriated state. Like there's a really fucking stupid reason why too.
Yeah, I did watch. I think OJ talked about that. I can't remember entirely on that. It was a while ago, that video. But if you can help refresh our memory, then that'll be the good thing, Rush Dog.
Yeah, and OJ might be lurking in here too. I know he does that sometimes. So if you are, yeah, put a comment in, let us know. Or Rush, if you know that answer, somebody fact check that because I want to know the stupid fucking reason why the creator of. By the way, kudos to that creator because that creator stuck to his guns. He stuck to his vision. Um, Almost everybody naysayed that fucking guy. Did you know that? Like in his company.
Oh,
Like, yeah, like everybody naysayed that guy and didn't think it was a good idea, and he proved them all fucking wrong. So kudos to that creator. But yeah, Sega, there it is. Thanks, Rush. Sega has concluded that Nintendo gamers don't want Yakuza games based on the poor performance of a Japan only Wii U Yakuza game. Yep, there it is. Yeah.
that's comedy gold right there
Wasn't
from
it
that.
on the Wii? Yeah, Wii U, a Japan only Wii U Yakuza game. You stupid motherfuckers!
Yeah, that was completely on Dev's store right there.
Wow,
Day one. Yeah,
that is stunning. That is stunning. But I got to remember who we're talking about here.
yeah, that is true. Yeah, that is
So,
true. Yeah.
so speaking of Sega, and one of the things that one of the first pieces of content I ever watched by you was your Sonic Mania review.
Oh, really? I'm touched.
Yes, and let's talk about that because that one to me, because so it's always good talking to a fellow Sonic fan. And my understanding is that yours goes way back because I saw on Twitter today where you also said that one of the big impact games in your life was Sonic the Hedgehog 2. Now, is that true?
Yeah, that was the first.
Is that one of your
Yeah,
first Sega games for awesome?
first, yeah, first Sega game. Actually, yeah, did get like a Sega Mega Drive,
It's
which
mine
here
too.
is actually called Sega Genesis, which was the first video game I played, and yeah, that thing did.
Oh,
So
okay.
yeah, that's why.
So in terms of your entry into the whole hobby, it's Sonic the Hedgehog 2, baby.
Yeah, absolutely, yeah.
Oh, so same thing. I still remember the Christmas. I think it was 1992. I'm wanting to say. Again, I
Yeah,
could be off on that. It's the year that came out with it was Sonic the Hedgehog 2, and it came bundled with the Sega Mega Drive or the Sega Genesis 2. So it was their second iteration of their system. So not the one my
mm,
grandma had with the on-off switch. This is the one with the button that you turn it on and off. Which, by the way, eventually became a problem, that Sega Genesis 2, because it was a push button to turn the system on and off instead of a switch. So eventually that button got worn out, and you had to set a fucking rock on top of the button to play your Genesis, which is a memory I'll always have. Um, but that said, yeah, I'll never forget that Christmas, opening up that Christmas present. I got I got that game, and I got Spider-Man and X-Men Arcade's Revenge are the two games I got for the system. Um,
nice, nice.
Now, one game was really, really good. The other, not so good. But I'll never forget playing that Sonic the Hedgehog 2, and then also playing that with my cousin over. My cousin would always come over. My grandmother had Sonic the Hedgehog 1. I never owned Sonic the Hedgehog 1 until much later, but I'd go to my grandma's and play it. There's no need to own the game because they had it over there. That was one of the games we played over there along with Streets of Rage 2. But when Jake would come over to my house, my cousin, we would always play Sonic the Hedgehog 2. He would be Tails, I would be Sonic, and we would play that together. Now, if you've ever played multiplayer in Sonic the Hedgehog
In
2,
classics, like yeah,
the second
no,
player
oh,
isn't really playing. But he was the younger cousin, and so that probably was good anyway. But he would keep up as best he could. Sometimes he'd get hits on Robotnik. Um, but in general, what's great about that game is the fact that that game really really had a lot of childhood merit to me. I also we went to Kentucky to visit some friends of my parents and to visit their kids who also had Sonic 2. They're the ones who taught me um, the how to do the code, which allowed you to select levels. And this allowed us to kind of skip the Wing Fortress zone, which I could never beat as a kid, and go right to Death Egg zone. And I beat the game on that Kentucky trip. I'll never forget getting to go see
ah,
Tioga Falls, which is next to Fort Knox, getting lost in the Tioga Falls Park, seeing Mortal Kombat Annihilation on the big screen, and then coming back that night to beat Sonic the Hedgehog 2 with two of my friends from Kentucky. It's a
yeah,
memory I'll have forever. So I want some memories from you, being this
yeah.
being such a pivotal game. Tell me a little bit about your experience with Sonic the Hedgehog 2 before I gush myself out of the
Yeah,
podcast.
sure. Yeah, well, yeah, my parents did give me like a Sega Mega Drive too, alongside the fact that it was a year after I think Christmas where I did get like the original Xbox as my quote unquote sort of true sort of like I think this was before I got the original Xbox. So yeah, having a Sega Mega Drive as well as the original Xbox was a nice treat.
Oh, okay.
I did play, yeah, quite a lot of Sonic 2. I was absolutely amazed by it. I was absolutely excited. The only thing, to be told, I haven't actually, beaten it as a kid because there were two things that was wrong. One, the Genesis I got was a little bit unstable. Sometimes it would nearly explode if you keep it on for too long. So that was a bit
Ooh.
annoying. And the other fact is, well, classic Sonic games back in the day had the infamous thing where if you lose all your lives, you had to start all the way back from the beginning.
Uh-huh.
So I think I got all the way up to like say, uh, was it a Hilltop Zone? Was it? Yeah, I think it was Hilltop Zone. I think I
Second
lost.
active
I think
Hilltop Zone got a little hit. It got a little heady. Yeah.
yeah, Heady, and I think I was almost close to Oil Ocean is where I remembered from. Other than that, that was most of my fond memories with Sonic 2. Obviously, uh, during my birthday around I think 2000 like 4 or 5, I did get not only a DVD of Sonic X, the first like 3 episodes, but I also did get Sonic Heroes for the Xbox, which was a nice birthday gift.
Right.
Obviously, after those three things, as well as getting lots of Sonic action figures, I was obsessed with Sonic. I was just absolutely enamored with Sonic for a very long time. And obviously, recently, I sort of fallen off with Sonic because I know Sonic is infamous for going, downhill in popularity with some of his games being
That's why
hit
I
or
laugh.
miss. Yeah, but yeah, thankfully, Sonic Mania games like Sonic Generations, Sonic Mania, and recently Sonic Frontiers do have established my love for the Blue Blur, especially since he's now had like two successful movie adaptations as well. And those were
Those
pretty fun.
movies were not bad at all. Yeah,
Yeah, not
I
bad.
thoroughly enjoyed those movies, and the fact that they actually listened to fans and they took that abomination off of there. Like,
Oh man, yeah. Actually, today is the day when we got the first redesign of Sonic. Like that whole redesign that pretty much changed our whole perception and like changed from what was going to be like, oh my god, it's so bad, it's so awful, this movie's gonna bomb. And then once they gave the feedback, they changed the design. And it's like, oh my god, this movie is actually going to be amazing. And yeah,
they were
it's
good.
turned out that it is.
They were good. Also,
Yeah,
Idris Elba as Knuckles was absolutely the only choice. The only choice.
yeah.
That was amazing.
Yeah. Oh man.
So
Yeah.
speaking of Knuckles, real quick, have you had the pleasure to see Knuckles Mania plus Knuckles?
I did. Yeah, I did see it.
Oh, you have
Oh my
seen? Okay,
god.
yes. So okay,
Yeah.
if not, I was gonna say we're gonna watch it right now, live stream. But okay, you have seen this, yeah?
Oh,
Knuckles Mania
you could
plus
put it on for
Knuckles.
the audience.
Yeah, no,
Maybe that
because
would be.
they need to see its greatness. Yeah, let me see. Again, bear with me, guys. I'm starting to
Yeah.
experiment with this kind of thing here, so this is new. So let me see if I can't get this pulled up. Knuckles Mania plus Knuckles, and I don't want anybody talking over it. I just want Knuckles Mania plus Knuckles. All I want. Yeah, I've already watched like most of it. Oh, okay. Feast your eyes, chat.
Knuckles!
We won't do a lot of it, but they have to see. They have to see. I love the internet.
Here I come, rougher than Knuckles.
This is amazing. Knuckles. We'll just have a little bit of this, but we.
As she stalked the moon, I could feel the aura of her presence. Every head turned passion.
Fucking software. Actually, fuck Sonic. I fucking love modern. I love the internet.
Here I come, rougher than Knuckles. The rest of them, tougher than Knuckles. They call me Knuckles. I like Knuckles. I don't
That is special. We'll watch that. What a strange, amazing world. Here it comes. Here it comes. Hold on. Oh no, it didn't. Knock, 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 knock.
Here I come, rougher than Knuckles. The rest of them, tougher than Knuckles. You can call me Knuckles. Unlike Knuckles, I don't chuckle. I'd rather flex my knuckles, hard as knuckles. It ain't hard to chuckle. I break them down whether they knuckles or knuckles. Unlike knuckles, I'm independent since my first chuckle. First knuckles, still no knuckles, then no knuckles.
I just can't.
Oh no.
Oh no! Every time you hit, oh no! Oh no!
Float inside me. My doo-doo float, streaking blood. Cleanse yourself. No.
You're blanking it out all good. All right. That's enough of that.
Oh no.
Stuff.
Yeah, that's.
Hope you guys enjoyed that chat. Yeah.
That you better fucking have. That's amazing.
Yeah.
And download the fucking mod. It's incredible. And by the way, they do that throughout the whole game. Like there's every game's music is knuckleified. Like it is incredible. Yeah, no, Dish, that's what I was saying. Yeah, if you listen to the lyrics of the actual song, it's filth. It's filth. It's great. It's fucking hilarious. And again, it's the reason why and to be honest, it's part of the reason why I don't buy Sonic games in person anymore. Not gonna lie, I don't go inside a store and buy and say, "Hey, I'd like the new Sonic the Hedgehog game," because I know how this fucking community is perceived with the wider world, and I do not want to be considered to be a Sonic guy.
Yeah,
that's one of the things I was thinking with the movie too. Like we heard about an early draft of that movie where like Sonic's like supersonic sneakers get stolen, and I'm just like, oh no, Sega, if you take that hedgehog's shoes off, you have no fucking idea what you are going to unleash on this world, man.
Don't
do that. Don't do that. Before you do that, please watch Eye Patch Wolf's What the Internet Did to Sonic.
Yeah.
Please watch that video before you commit to showing Sonic's feet. And then do us a favor and don't. So so that aside, weird fucking Sonic community aside, now you mentioned a couple games that I've played and one that I haven't. So you mentioned Sonic Generations, which I loved Sonic Generations. I think I played that on the Wii.
Yeah.
That
phenomenal.
was really good game and actually a decent implementation of 3D in a Sonic game. Which was really cool.
Especially for classic Sonic, yeah.
Yeah, I'm not much of a 3D guy until relatively recently, but that was really good.
Yeah, that was amazing.
And then Sonic Frontiers, that's pretty good, huh?
Yeah, that game's pretty good. Obviously, Sonic Frontiers has probably been one of the better Sonic releases in recent years. Like I think, nearly 10 years. Actually, no, far from it. So I think it's the best release since Generations when we're talking about modern Sonic team in a sense. Because what happened after Generations,
right?
They just fell down a thing like Lost World, Forces, even Sonic Boom on the Wii U that was a travesty.
There's a great review of Sonic Boom. I don't know if you've seen it. It's Hot Pepper Reviews. And basically the whole gist of it is the guy eats a hot pepper and then reviews a video game. And
I think I heard it. Yeah, I think heard about them, yeah.
And so he says he eats the hot pepper and he's like, okay, good things about Sonic Boom. Bad things about Sonic Boom. And then starts to look while his face is growing redder from the hot pepper just destroying his body. But it's a good review of the Sonic Boom and very, very funny.
Yeah.
Good things about Sonic Boom.
Yeah.
Bad things about Sonic.
Pretty
much.
That's good. Yeah, that's pretty much. But yeah, Sonic Frontiers is sort of shaping up to be one of the better received Sonic titles. Mostly, I mean, it's sitting decently at, I think, 70 at Metacritic, but it's become, I think, the highest selling Sonic game, even surpassing Sonic Heroes, which that was an incredible feat. Obviously, multiple platforms and all that stuff, and obviously the movies were successful, so that have attracted a new audience and gained a little bit of momentum. And obviously, you had other Sonic releases like Sonic Origins, which was okay, and obviously you got Sonic Prime on Netflix. So
Right.
yeah, there was a bit of a Sonic renaissance last year, and slowly for this year, even if it was mostly just expansions, like
Yeah.
obviously DLC for Origins, the free update for Frontiers, which were varying in quality. Like I think the first two updates were good, while update three was a bit on the rough side, but other than that, pretty solid. And obviously, Side Prime season two. And I know there's going to be a Knuckles TV show in development
Knuckles.
with Idris Elba, and obviously Sonic movie three that's coming sometime next year, I believe. Looking forward to that. But other than that, yeah, Sonic has sort of been you're trying to get back on its actual feet. Obviously, we also had Sonic Superstars, which I haven't played, but I've heard decent things about it, and obviously Sonic Mania, which yeah, that game obviously phenomenal game. Obviously, I'm not gonna lie, I should have I was one day gonna update the review and review the plus version because that had a little bit of content with like new playable characters and the encore mode thing, but I decided to slowly move away from talking about Sonic less occasionally on the channel, except for my top five games of 2022, where I did put Sonic
Yes, I saw
Frontiers
that.
up there. Yeah, so yeah. But yeah, so yeah, Sonic Frontiers is actually shaping. I think it's shaping up for the brand, especially with the creator of the game, Kishimoto, who's a guy who's now been able to take actual feedback from the fans and try to do his best to improve the game, which is something almost unheard of with like Sega and Sonic because most of the time they just try to put Sonic in a situation and just try to stick where it lands. But other times you just do one thing, it doesn't work, revert to the other thing, that doesn't work, try again. It's all been experimentation crazy, and it hasn't done well for the brand,
Yeah, hey, my
especially if you
kid
look.
likes knights, so let's make Sonic a knight. Hey, I'm going through a phase where I like werewolves. Let's make Sonic a fucking
Like where?
werewolf. What the
Yeah,
fuck are you doing?
yep,
Like,
yep. My kid has been watching all these hardcore action movies and all that stuff with swearing. Let's make Shadow an complete edgelord and give him a
give him a
gun.
gun. Yeah, they're and again, part of it, and I'm not even gonna blame them like that much. Like a lot of people are hard on Sonic Team, man, especially after Sonic
Yeah,
Mania came and broke fucking records. I think
yeah,
once you
absolutely.
include like the Steam downloads and shit, that game's at like 8 mil, something like some crazy fucking amount. Altogether when you include the digitals and shit. But long story short, like, did you ever watch The Simpsons?
Yeah, I did watch The
Okay.
Simpsons. Yeah, I used to love The
So,
Simpsons.
so
Yeah,
used to love The Simpsons, exactly, and you know where I'm going with this. So, long story short, like
yeah,
when you've got a season of television as perfect as The Simpsons season 4 through 6, um, that's kind of what Sonic 2 through Sonic and Knuckles, and not only just that, but the surrounding content. Look at the Archie comics at the time. Look
yeah,
at Sonic Sat AM, dude, which like
yeah.
defined my fucking childhood. That show in part. Then you had that other
Mm.
fucking show, to quote, I think it was Nostalgic, said that other fucking show. That was, it was dog shit, but it was kind
Yeah,
of fun too. But long
yeah,
story short, like Sonic Sat AM, the classic Archie Sonic comics, Sonic 2 through Sonic 3 and Knuckles, you're never going to get close to that again in terms of the expectations and the standards of that era are so fucking out of reach at this point. The fact that they even came
yeah,
close with Mania, and in fact in some ways surpassed it, is pretty fucking incredible.
yeah. I do think it's incredible.
um
Yeah,
I also think it's telling we're talking about Frontiers and we're not talking about Superstars. I just want to throw that out there.
yeah.
um
Just making sure. Yeah, yeah. Frontiers.
I don't think
Uh,
Superstar hit the notes that they wanted it to hit.
yeah, I heard about that, especially when you're pairing it against Super Mario Wonder.
Yeah, that was probably that decision is going to haunt them for a while. Because
Yeah,
Super Mario Wonder, for all intents and purposes, is probably the best 2D Mario game since World. Um, Not gonna lie, it's really, really fucking good.
Yeah, I really heard about that. Yeah,
Wonder's
absolutely.
good. Wonder's a good game. It's not perfect. It's not what I hoped it would be as a fanatical Mario fan, but it's I I love the Flower Kingdom. Okay, I absolutely love the Flower Kingdom. I love how it feels like an actual place with actual problems. I love how Bowser feels like a danger again and not like a fucking clown, like he's been the last few games.
Yeah.
He feels like a menace in this game, and everywhere you go, you get to hear about the problems he's creating wherever he goes as Castle Bowser. I like all that. Um, but there's too many fucking coins. You have too many lives, and the game is too easy for all the lives and coins that game heaps at you. It's just too easy. In fact, some of the wonders, as interesting and cool as the effects are to see, to me, it's almost gimmicky because what ends up happening is you do the wonder effect, and some of those wonder effects literally put the game on rails, like the singing piranha plant. Like, try to die on that stage. Try to die. Try to die. You can't. So, to me, I was hoping what would happen is the wonder seeds would make the stages harder, and sometimes they do. But in some cases, and in a lot of cases, actually, they just make it easier. Um, I don't know. I don't know how it's going to ultimately sit in the grand scheme of things. For as much shit as I give New Super Mario Brothers U, at least it has New Super Luigi U, which is a genuinely difficult Mario game that actually is very well designed. Um, I think the levels are shorter than U. I think that's to its benefit. Most of the Mario Wonder levels, where they don't shoehorn you into a wonder effect, are generally pretty short, can be completed pretty quickly. Good for speed running. Whereas I think the level starting with Mario World level started to go on a little too long, and that problem exacerbated in the new series. So I don't know where Wonder ultimately falls for me is really up in the air. I'm not really sure how I feel about it. But the one thing I will say is it's Nintendo actually giving some love and care to 2D Mario for the first time since 1991, and that's something.
Wow. Wow. Yeah, I'd heard I think the articles where the Inception of Wonder was came from the devs saying that they had like lots of creative freedom and passion just to do whatever they want with Mario Wonder. I think I read about that, and I was like
Yeah,
just enamored because you sort of don't see it entirely with game devs nowadays days. Not saying that all of them are just in it for the money, in it just cash grab, all that stuff. There's some that have vision, passion, all that stuff, but
sure.
it's rare that some companies will give free time, just let them actually cook in a sense.
Um, I agree. I agree
I'm
to
not
some
trying to.
extent. Yeah.
Yeah,
To some
yeah. I'm not
extent,
trying to roast Cyberpunk early launch. I'm
oh, I
not
will.
trying to.
I
Yeah,
fucking will.
yeah. All right.
Um, yeah, 100%. If you at least make your game fucking playable when it comes out, how about that, guys?
Yeah.
Don't make a fucking cop spawn in the fucking wall.
Yeah.
When you do a crime somewhere. But with Mario, like I agree, but partially. So there's a limit to that shit, right? So
Yeah.
if you take off the gloves and you let the creatives have years and years to do whatever the fuck they want, that sounds great. That sounds great, but what we end up getting is all these gimmicks and not a lot of cohesion and not a lot of direction, which kind of explains to me how easy some of the stages are. Give you a great example of Super Mario Brothers started development in 1984. Okay,
Yeah.
Super Mario World ended development in 1991. Count that up.
Ooh.
7 years. Now, what is 7 years? That's the entire time that Wonder cooked. They made Mario Brothers, Mario Brothers 2, Mario Brothers 3, Super Mario World. And they even fucking managed to shit out the lost levels somewhere along the line.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I'm not, because of that, get my point. I'm not necessarily convinced that more time yields better results. That having an unlimited amount of resource. Look at Tears of the Kingdom, and what a clusterfuck that game turned out to be in some ways. Um,
Ooh, careful, Nish is right here.
Hi Nish. And again, I'm not saying it's a bad game. I'm just saying that it's almost like where Breath of the Wild was kind of beautiful in its simplicity. There's a reason I haven't gone back into Tears of the Kingdom in depth yet. And there's a reason
Mm-hmm.
I haven't sat down and been obsessive with that, like I have been something like Baldur's Gate 3 or Morrowind, which I played for 20 fucking years, or Mario Brothers 3, or Breath of the Wild. Like Breath of the Wild is very beautiful in its simplicity. Whereas I feel, honest to God, overwhelmed in Tears of the Kingdom. I feel
Yeah.
pulled in about 30 fucking directions. I don't know what I want to do. And there's something I this weird fucking system that puts me in the menus for half the game is constantly being triggered. And I'm just gonna say it. Hey, nuclear take incoming to everybody. You see it in the fucking
Poop.
sales. OJ, if you're here, buddy, sorry, you see it in the fucking sales. We were talking on one of the podcasts about how good this game was going to do, and it did great. It did 18 million. Well, that was literally in July. We're in November, and the game hasn't even broke fucking 20 million yet. That's a hell of a screeching halt that fucking game's come to. I just want to point that out. Not
Yeah.
looking too fucking good for passing Breath of the Wild right now. And I gotta say, part of that I think has to do with the fact that I get what Nintendo was trying to do, probably better than most. I was one of the first people to point out that they were going in the Minecraft direction. They weren't after Elden Ring, they were after a much bigger get, which was the Minecraft and the user generated content that came from all the streaming and all that shit where they stream Minecraft. That's what they were going
Yeah.
for. But I told OJ, I told him in the beginning, I said, I'm worried about the long-term sales on Tears of the Kingdom. Worried about it. And here we fucking are. Now, maybe it picks up in the holiday. That's what a lot of people are going to counter with. They're going to rebut and say, well, wait for the holidays. Yeah, but I think that's going to be powered more by Wonder and less by Tears of the Kingdom. I think everybody who wanted Tears of the Kingdom bought Tears of the Kingdom. And I'm going to make another prediction. I think the next Zelda will sell even less. Because I think those 18 million sold largely in regards to the strength of Breath of the Wild. I think the next game will be a referendum on Tears of the Kingdom, and I'm not looking forward to seeing what that looks like.
Yeah, I did. Yeah, I also did heard that Breath of the Wild / Tears of the Kingdom apparently is also going to be sort of, a sort of turning point for the series where they're sort of going to the direction that those two games are going for instead of the I think the traditional Zelda games like back in the day, and that's kind of a risky
That'd
and
be even
given
worse,
what
man.
you mentioned about the whole sales thing, I guess that sort of has sort of divided, I think, among Zelda fans. Like some are good about it because Breath of the Wild was so successful, but others probably not so much because they probably prefer the traditional Zelda over Breath of the Wild and all that stuff.
Well, I think it'd be even worse if they tried a traditional Zelda. I mean, you got to look at what because I think I know what you mean. Can you define traditional Zelda for me first and foremost?
Oh. Uh, oh my God, what have
Didn't
I
mean to put you on the
just said?
spot, but it's very, very important for the next leg of this conversation.
For like a conversation. I mean, to be honest, I haven't known. I'm not into the Zeldaverse as much as people are.
Right, right.
Is yes, but I mean, the only thing that can just come up to my mind is just Majora's Mask, Ocarina of
I was gonna
Time.
say, let me help you out. You
This
probably
kind of
mean
sort, yeah.
Ocarina of Time, yeah. Yeah,
Ocarina, yeah.
yeah.
Is that
That's what you mean. Yeah, that's what most people mean.
yeah?
So let me tell you what I mean when I say traditional Zelda. I mean Legend of
Go
Zelda. I mean Zelda 2, and I mean A
yeah.
Link to the Past. I mean traditional fucking Zelda. What you are describing is something I call Puzzle-Zelda or Chore Time Puzzle Zelda. And I
Puzzle
would
Zelda.
and
All
I
right.
would argue that if they went that route, it would be worse sales collapse because nobody wants that route. And I point to that by looking at the sales and how they fucking imploded, starting with, believe it or not, Ocarina of Time. If you look at the
Mm.
macroeconomics and you look at the population growth, Legend of Zelda, OG Legend of Zelda sold around 14 to 15 million copies. If you do the population, that's not even counting opening markets. Like half the world was closed behind an iron curtain in 1986 when Zelda came out. Zelda 2 was impacted by the cartridge shortage and didn't get a reprint until after 1990. So I would argue that the Legend of Zelda did insane sales for 1986 and that the sales were actually depressed because of the different conditions in the market, the cartridge shortage, the lack of expansion into emerging markets, and the fact that nobody knew what the fuck a Zelda game was. It was the first of its kind. If you look at even A Link to the Past was a massive downgrade, although that could be blamed on the Sega Genesis taking half its market share. But if you look at the N64 and you look at Ocarina of Time, it did outperform A Link to the Past, which is kind of the standard everybody puts for traditional Zelda. But then it's all downhill from there. Even though the next game, Wind Waker, was a failure in every regard, sales-wise. Absolute fucking failure. It failed itself. It failed the GameCube. Everybody blames the art style. I think people were moaning about the art style because that was what was visible. I don't think that was actually people's problem with the game. If you go to the next game, it doesn't outperform the macroeconomics. That would be Twilight Princess, even though it was hailed as the fastest selling and the best selling game. Only if you don't look at the macroeconomic conditions that led to all those different things, population growth, etc. Then you get into full-scale collapse. After Twilight Princess comes Skyward Sword. Skyward Sword, keeping in mind, this is on the Nintendo Wii. This is an install base of 120 million fucking people. And that game did less than 3.5 million sales. Dark Souls disrupted and outperformed Zelda Skyward Sword. I think if you go back to the Anuma Puzzle Chore Time Zelda, I think you're in big trouble. I think this franchise was literally in flatline. I think it was out the door if they didn't get it fixed. And Breath of the Wild was that fix. They literally created Breath of the Wild using a altered, modified NES engine game of the original Legend of Zelda. And if they couldn't do it in that modified engine, it didn't make it into the final product. They went back to their roots. They went all the way back, which is why that game was a monumental success. And then Tears of the Kingdom took that and went back into strange territory in many ways. Ganon being back as a man was fucking weird. It was weird. Especially when you've established that we're so far in the future that now the only thing left of Ganon is this calamitous rage and hatred for all the denizens and people of Hyrule. Absolutely weird decision. Now suddenly he's back and it's never explained. The Sheikah Tech is gone. That's not explained because fuck it. Who needs world coherence, right? In a Zelda game, which is literally about the world of Hyrule. They put you in the menus. Like every time you make an arrow, you got to be in the menu. Every time you want to build every time you want to build a Voltron, you're in the menu. You don't have traditional weapons like Knight in Fantasyland, which is what Zelda's about. It's dark fantasy. Instead, you're cobbling all these pieces of shit together into these incoherent messes of weapons. I don't know. I don't think it's as bad as the Anuma Puzzle Chore Time Zelda, but I also don't think it scratched the Breath of the Wild itch successfully. And I'll just end my rant there. I don't think it did. I think the sales collapse shows that. And even though 19, 20 million copies, whatever this game ends up doing, that is a monumental success.
Yeah.
By any standards. What I will tell Nintendo is wait till you put out the next Zelda. Let's see what those sales look like, because that's going to be because those sales are a front-loaded referendum on Breath of the Wild. I want to see what the referendum on Tears of the Kingdom ends up being. But I'll leave it to you. What do you think?
Probably, maybe not to me, but I get what you're saying.
Yeah. And again, not being somebody who's as into Zelda, like that's a conversation. Me and Nish could probably talk about that all day. But I had to point that out that and by the way, Nish, don't remind Zoo about traditional Zelda.
Yep.
Yeah, because because I get mad about Zelda like Sonic fans get about the mismanagement of Sonic. Yeah, like that is my fucking childhood.
And also, the misconception of like what's classic, what's modern Sonic, especially with superstars and that kind of thing.
Yeah. Mario, Metroid, and Zelda are my sore spots. I've said for years, if I want nothing else from Nintendo, all I fucking want is a good 2D Mario, a good Zelda game, and a good Metroid game. And to be fair, I got all 3 on the Switch, so it's part of why this is my favorite system of all time. I would argue I got all 3. I didn't get everything I wanted, but nobody ever gets everything they want.
Yeah, true. That is true. And speaking about Zelda and Metroid, first, so yeah, Zelda. You probably have already seen news that there's going to be, a Zelda live action movie in
Yeah,
development from Nintendo. Yeah. Um,
it's not what I
I have
expected.
seen. Yeah, I've seen Nish's take on it, and yeah, no, I think nobody expected
No,
after
I
the
was
success of the.
I was so wrong on this topic. It's unbelievable. And once again, it's okay to be wrong. So I
Yeah,
predicted that they would have. I thought it was a long term agreement with what's it called? Not necessarily the right
and
studio for a Zelda, but whatever that Illumination. And I figured they would
Illumination.
do
Yeah,
it. And I figured they would bring in elements just like they did with the Mario movie, where they brought in
yeah,
elements of the Mario Brothers Super Show. I figured we would actually see some elements of the Legend of Zelda TV show. And I
yeah.
told people to rewatch that show because that fucking show is actually better than you remember it being. And I was wrong on just about every count you could be wrong on. But what do we think? What do we think? What story are they going to tell? If I had to guess, I would guess they'll probably do Ocarina of Time. But I don't know. Smart money's on Breath
If
of the
I,
Wild because of the sheer sales. But
yeah, realistically, if we had to go from like in the perspective of what we experienced from the Sonic movie and the Super Mario Bros. Movie, I think it would sort of be sort of an original kind of thing
mm-hmm.
and sort of be not connected to them. Like it'll be its own separate universe and it's sort of
Yeah,
be an origin kind of thing, like introducing to the lore kind of thing. And hold on, I'm just gonna read Nish Quick's comments here.
yeah,
Yeah, Ocarina of Time, Twilight Princess of Breath of the Wild. I think it's going to be a blend of bunch of the games. That
pretty
could be the
fair,
case,
pretty fair
though.
bet.
You pretty fair bet. It's either that or yeah, again, as I said, it's going to be sort of an origin story because obviously just to introduce the whole concept of it. Because not only those movies, well, not just only to like appeal to fans and all that stuff, but they're also trying to introduce a new audience. So I do think that this movie is going to be doing the same things. Like it will introduce what Zelda is like the. Forgive me, I'm not too versed in Zelda. Other than the fact I just know Link exists. There's the Master Sword. There's that Navi that people just bitch about because it's so annoying all
Yeah,
the time.
yeah.
And
I didn't have to deal with that shit in the '80s.
yeah, but yeah, I do think it's sort of gonna be yeah, it'll be sort of an origin in a sense, and whether or not Link will actually be silent or he probably won't be in the case. I think he's actually going to talk, which by the way, maybe your idea of the whole interpreting one thing from this Link Zelda TV show, like I don't know, excuse me, princess, comes into fruition or something. I don't know.
Yeah,
I mean,
that
I mean,
show is.
The first Sonic movie had in this guy Crazy O who drew up Sonic, freaking Sonic, in the first Sonic movie. So I do think that if they can reference anything from Zelda, even the infamous CDI games,
I won.
oh, that'll be a treat. Anyway, but yeah, that's a yeah, I know. Oh yeah, yeah. There's no way can they? Yeah, absolutely, they can't do Silent Link, especially if
No.
going by Hollywood logic, they'll have to cast someone famous and high profile. Now, whether it'll be Tom Holland, as many have memed about, that's to that's up to for debate. We'll have to just wait to see what happens. But yeah, like
So my whole take on that, and again, like I'm pretty stunned they're doing a live action Zelda. We're not going to see it for fucking years. By the way, we're not. There's my one predict. We're not going to see this movie for
yeah,
years. So don't get comfortable. Don't hold your breath. You might fucking pass out if you're waiting for this movie to come out. But
yeah,
what I would say is absolutely can't be silent. It can't be. Keep in mind in the games, I think Link should be silent. Link is the reason he's named Link is it's the link to the player. Same with Mario. The reason Mario was chosen as a plumber from Brooklyn is because Mario, just like Link, is the link of the player in this magical literary nonsense world of the Mushroom Kingdom, right? It's kind of your one grasp to
Yeah.
reality.
Yeah.
Which again, I love that the movie got right that he was a fucking plumber from Brooklyn. They nailed that because Mario has basically been a denizen in the Mushroom Kingdom ever since fucking Yoshi's Island rewrote the lore and fucked everything up as far as that goes. So the fact that they brought him
Yeah.
back to Brooklyn and the fact that he was a plumber from Brooklyn, working class character that is widely that people can identify with, that's why he's there.
Yeah.
And he can be silent in the games. Couldn't be silent in the movie. Same with Link. Link is your link to that player. You're in night fantasy land, Western dark fantasy traditions. Although I love that Breath of the Wild has brought in some of the Eastern mythology, and that's kind of my thing. Zelda is Nintendo's take on mythology, right? Whether it's a Sword in the
Yeah.
Stone, whether it's Sleeping Beauty with Zelda 2, Sword in the Stone with A Link to the Past, um, even movies of the 80s like Labyrinth, which apparently was hugely, and Ultima 3, which of course fucking Ultima influences everything. But it's that dark mythological fantasy take. And that's why if you notice like in Breath of the Wild, they take ancient Shinto civilizations for some of the Sheikah tech, and they do ancient Incan mythology for some of the tech for the Zonai in Tears of the Kingdom. And I think that's super cool that they're bringing in all this ancient mythology. So that would be my one advice to them is, yeah, Link's got to talk. And then also make sure you focus on Hyrule, just like they did in the Illumination movie. Focus on the Mushroom Kingdom. Show us the Mushroom Kingdom. Show us these realms. Take us on an adventure. Nintendo, and that's the thing, like, Miyamoto talked about how they would build gardens, and it was just another way of saying that what Nintendo really does is what Richard Garriott famously said years ago in the 70s is what do we do as game developers? We're building a world for you to inhabit. Nothing else matters if the world doesn't. If the world lacks coherency, if the world doesn't draw you in, if there isn't stakes and it's not a world worth fighting for, nothing else matters. Nothing else matters. So, more than the characterization, especially with a mythological story like Zelda, they've got to nail the world. They've got to nail the ancient lived in feel of Hyrule. I hope they start in a Hyrule that's fallen to evil. I hope it's not like the games where we're just seeing Link in those Enuma games where we're just going and doing a bunch of chores for a bunch of feckless, lazy, useless NPCs that I don't want to save. I hope most of the world has been put on the ropes or eradicated. I hope Link is there to save the day and allow Hyrule to start to flourish again. What I don't want to see is I don't want to see Link fetching a fish and fetching a pack of seeds and then going and fetching some slippers for an evil baby so the evil baby can open up a mart and can give you a armor that eats your rupees. I hope that's not what we get.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah. I hope so too.
yeah, tell a mythological story. Don't look at Zelda. What I would advise them to do is don't look at Zelda. Look at what Miyamoto looked at. Look at Sword in the Stone. Look at Sleeping Beauty. Look at stories like that. Look at your ancient mythological storytelling. Yeah, there's no way they'll put fetch quests in the movie. Yeah, that would be
Yeah.
absolutely hilarious. I'm being funny there, of course, but
I mean,
yeah,
that could be just, a montage in and of itself, Rush Dog.
that would be, yeah, I mean, it
Just
would be funny. It would be really funny because we all fucking hate it, Nintendo. Just so you know, we fucking hate it. So it would be kind of funny to poke shit at that. To be fair, it would be pretty funny. If
yeah,
like Link like wants to fight and then he's just like, oh, hold on, um, where do you think you're going? Well, what do you mean? I'm going to save the princess. No, you're not. See those goats? Because you're gonna need the shield before you save the princess, and I'm not gonna give you the shield till you herd those goats. Also, my cat's missing, so make sure you get a fish
yeah,
and get my cat, and also make sure this house gets cleaned. Clean my house, and make sure you douse, Link. Make sure you douse. Side quests are all
yeah,
right if you get good rewards. Yeah. When has that happened? I remember Link. I remember Link to the Past where you get like a magic cape for a side quest, and a side quest is like bombing a wall and exploring a cave. Um, I guess you could say the Big Goron sword at the end of that ridiculous nonsense shit you had to do in Ocarina of Time. But in general, usually, like for example, the example I always like to use is your favorite Wind Waker, where you sail around and you find this item, and this hidden island, and you get like fucking 5 rubies or some shit. To be fair, fetch quests have been part of Zelda since Zelda 1. Only if you want to do them. Only if you want to do them. I've seen swordless runs. You don't have to do shit in Zelda 1 with very few exceptions. Heart pieces, magic armor, gratitude crystals. Wind Waker sucked because of that. Yeah, 100%. That was the real problem with Wind Waker. I don't think the problem was the art style. In fact, I think the art style that everybody cried about back in the day, I was like, that's not why you guys are mad. That's not why you hate this game. Like, that's just what you see. The art style held up brilliantly. It's one of the best things that held up with that fucking game. You had to bring the letter to the potion shop before they let you buy potions. That was a link to the past. Yeah, for sure. Yeah, again, if you want potions, like, but yeah, options, Zelda. That was the NES game. That had to bring the letter to the potion shop before it lets you buy potions. Well, that was also a link to the past. Didn't you have to do something for the witch lady to do a link to the past? So I'm not saying you're wrong about the NES game. I just the potions I remember because I hardly used the potions in NES Zelda. I remember using potions pretty heavy in a link to the past. At least for me. But that's what I'm saying. Everybody's run is very different in those games, and that's why they're great. To my knowledge, unless you're doing some kind of speed run sheet, there's no way to skip the cat getting the fish for the cat in that 2 hour long fucking snore fest that is Twilight Princess's tutorial. Oh my god, that game. Oh, that was the NES
Yes.
game. Okay.
Yeah, you also need to meet at one part in Zelda 1. That was kind of a fetch quest.
Yeah, again, it's been so long. Remind me what the meat does again, because some of this shit is skippable. Like some of it, like the raft, isn't. But like I think the meat you have to feed to somebody for say grumble grumble, and then he gives you something or some shit. God, it's been so long. I need to play that game again. The one I can't get away from lately, actually, is Zelda 2 and Breath of the Wild. But I definitely need to play Zelda 1 again. It's been too long.
True.
Okay, that's exactly it. It is the grumble grumble guy. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, I remember grumble guy. Yeah, that's Zelda 1. But alrighty, so I guess my next question for you is in terms of Chrono Trigger. Tell everybody what it's like to play Chrono Trigger for the first time in 2023. How you like it?
Oh, sure. Oh, sure, absolutely. Yeah.
No spoilers, chat. No spoilers.
Yeah,
for Chrono Trigger because
no spoilers. Yeah,
first time
I'm not going to
experience.
spoil. Yeah, I'm not going to spoil anything as well. Obviously, for those who maybe want to play Chrono Trigger themselves, but so yeah, I am playing the game on the SNES version, sort of emulation kind of thing, because some people do say it's technically one of the better version of this game, and I thought I wanted to make the review that I'm actually going to be, making for this game
a
little bit more authentic. Yeah, authentic. Yeah, and the experience has actually been pretty damn positive. I've actually been mind blown because in a way it's sort of like a time capsule moment where all these ideas and all these things you see from Chrono Trigger are implemented in new games, and like in new modern games that people sort of live with. Like in a way, Chrono Trigger feels like a game feels like it doesn't age at well. Like there's things like
it's ages,
actual it's like there's no like random encounters nonsense. There's there's these clever awesome team attacks. There's some enemies that have like telegraphed things where if you pay attention you can hit them at the right time and all that cool stuff. There's lots of aspects of those that I think inspired a lot of JRPGs that from things that I love just in this game. It feels like a time capsule. Like I did watch a video on like the making of both Chrono Trigger and Secret of Mana, and I was just phenomenal on how that game has all the things that normally I think some other JRPGs through that era have, because I do have some I do have some pet peeves about playing some older RPGs, maybe ones that do have like random encounters and all that bullshit and all that stuff.
Hmm.
So yeah, but yeah, Chrono Trigger so far has been amazing. It's just a comfort. It's just like a relaxing experience. The first thing you do in Chrono Trigger was just absolutely a lot of fun. It put me back to I'm not to the opening bits of Final Fantasy 9. If you guys play that one, like the whole Alexandria kind of thing, that is what Chrono Trigger sort of
Okay.
reminded me of, and I absolutely love Final Fantasy 9. By the way, absolutely love
I
it.
hear
I would,
incredible things about 9. It's one of the games I'm most excited to get into. I hear nothing but good stuff about 9.
yeah. Yeah, like the whole the beginning was absolutely amazing, and the gameplay itself is actually pretty good so far. I absolutely love the whole dual and triple text that were well actually what dual text I'm getting. I haven't got to the triple text yet. I'm absolutely enamored by the music, and honestly, yeah, I'm so far it's been very good positive vibes. I'm on the second time travel event, and if you guys know what that is, if you guys do know what that is, then I'm pretty sure you guys know what that is. Obviously, not to spoil. And yeah, it's really amazing. Like, I know there's some, obviously, when it comes to lots of games that have been praised to high heaven. And when you have those expectations, sometimes they're not going to be live up. Some of them
Right.
won't live up to expectations, but I think Chrono Trigger is one of those games where, like, yeah, I can agree this is one of the best JRPGs ever made, and honestly, I am just amazed by the pedigree so far. Heck, one thing I gave respect to, like, movie Sonic, is his voice actor really loves both Final Fantasy VI and Chrono Trigger. I think in one of his interviews he says that his top three ever games ever made was Chrono Trigger and Final Fantasy VI.
Hmm.
So yeah, he's absolutely based on that front. Ben
Well,
Schwartz
well,
is his
you've
name.
heard me mention 6, right? And one of the
Yeah,
things I mentioned about 6 is that it almost is a game, even to this day, in terms of JRPGs, that Final Fantasy 6 is a game that is nearly without peer, is the wording I use. Now, when I said that, what game do you think I was talking about when I said nearly? It was Chrono Trigger.
yeah, it's Chrono Trigger. Yeah, it's those two. I like the Those are like I think the two to four pillars of those JRPGs. The only ones I think are sort of around there, even though I haven't played them myself, is the original Secret of Mana that comes up to mind, and the other one is Super Mario RPG, which obviously currently its game remained, but
Mario RPG
yeah,
will
honestly,
always have a special place in my heart, and I can't wait for this remake. And there's a reason for that. So, my dad, who got me into video games, um, he he never cottoned to RPGs. Never could play
yeah,
them. It just wasn't. I think he was more of an arcade gamer, like that arcade
true,
tactile type game. So he liked shoot 'em ups and he liked platformers, and that's the things we played. So that's why I came a little bit late to RPGs, is because he never played them. But the one
yeah,
JRPG my dad finished was Super Mario RPG. And a lot of people put Final Fantasy VII as like the starter or the opening RPG. And in terms of breaking JRPGs into the mainstream, absolutely is. It's not our Mario
yeah,
RPG. But in
yeah.
terms of
Obviously,
being that opening baby steps for JRPGs, I don't think there's a better game on the planet than Super Mario RPG. And the proof is in my dad. My dad couldn't get into Final Fantasy VII. He finished Mario RPG. And the reason
yeah,
I think he did it is because it had that tactile gameplay. You couldn't just sit and select your attacks. No, you had to guard and you had to attack and you had to press buttons to make sure you jump right. And there were
I
platforming
know.
elements and there were adventure elements. And so the game did a great job of always keeping you mentally engaged with what was going on in a way that even games like Final Fantasy VI and Chrono Trigger kind of failed to do, because my dad again couldn't get to those.
Yeah, that is true, and because it has Mario in it, I think that helped sort of appeal in a sense a
So
bit.
I
Like,
actually think Chrono Trigger is much better than Final Fantasy VI. I'd put it a tier above FF6, and a lot of people do. It depends on what you're looking for. It depends on what you're
yeah,
looking for. If you're looking in terms of like pure mechanics, I would agree with that. And by the way, isn't it amazing that we got those fucking games back to back from Square, 1994 and 1995?
Yeah.
those games came out
Yeah,
back to
absolutely amazing.
fucking back.
Yeah.
That's incredible. But Final Fantasy VI to me scratches an itch that Chrono Trigger doesn't scratch, and I can't get into that. But maybe we'll talk
Fair
about that
enough.
later, Rush, because I don't want to spoil anything for you. But Final
Yeah.
Fantasy VI it scratches a different kind of itch for me. But in terms of the mechanics, yeah, to yeah, I think I agree with you in terms of pure gameplay mechanics and the evolution of the genre. Yeah, I think I agree with you.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah, I get that.
so now I always like to give an opportunity for my guest to kind of cross-examine me, ask me some questions. So you have any questions for me that you're curious about?
Sure. Hold on, just give me a moment to process. Other than what yeah, obviously we talked about Sonic, we talked about we talked. There was one thing I was going to mention after the Zelda thing, and that was you said like Metroid is one of your favorite
Mm-hmm.
franchises, and I assume, of course, when you say you got good Metroid game, like I assume that's Metroid Dread and maybe
Yes,
Metroid Prime Remaster. That's
both. Although
filled your
I'm not
poll.
sure I consider Prime to be a Metroid game, but it's good. It's very good.
Oh,
But certainly Dread, 100% Dread in terms of that itch I'm talking about scratching that dish I go to the restaurant to order. But Prime was very good too. Prime's almost a first person shooter to me,
yeah,
with some exploration and backtracking elements. Um, and again, part of this, I think Rush has made this point is I never finished Prime on the GameCube. Um, so I played it, but I never finished it. The first time I fully played and finished through Prime was on the Switch, and I had the liberty of having the dual stick controls. So to me, it felt like Halo, big levels, some backtracking, good shoot 'em up gameplay. It kind of felt like a Metroid hued answer to Halo to me,
classic Halo. Yeah,
since Halo
Halo
and
1 and
Metroid came
2.
out in the same kind of area. Yeah. Um, if Metroid Prime is if Prime isn't Metroid, then Ocarina of Time isn't Zelda. Laugh out loud. Well, it's funny you mention that, Nish. It's funny you mention that. I'll just let the chat chew on that. What I mean by that.
Okay,
But
yeah.
yeah, Ocarina of Time isn't Zelda. Yeah. LOL. Anyway.
Yeah.
Um. So But where were we going with that? Yeah, so definitely Dread. Dread scratched that itch in a way I haven't felt since Super Metroid. Dread was fabulous. Now I hear Fusion is really good. Metroid Freak, who I had on last time, was telling me I've got to eventually play Fusion, and I may eventually have to get the fucking Nintendo Switch online just to give it a run. But
Mhm.
everybody says Fusion's very good, and I had some opinions that were actually quite wrong about Metroid Fusion that I need to give that a fair shake.
Yeah.
Um, any other questions you want to know about?
Well, other than yeah. So yeah, Final Fantasy VI. Yeah, we talked about Final Fantasy VI, Chrono Trigger, Xenoblade, Tales, Star Ocean, all those good things in Kingdom Hearts and all Persona. Like, oh my god, there's so many RPGs up. Uh, I would say, I was gonna say, so yeah, what coming with Look It Up Live? I was just gonna say that, no, actually, no, you're just an amazing guy. It was an absolute pleasure to be here.
Oh hell
Our
yeah!
only question is uh, that was gonna say, are there any things like, are there any, well, it's actually sort of tying into my next video that I'm actually gonna make,
Yeah.
which is a collab, and I was asked to you and probably even to the chat, is there any JRPG that you're looking forward to next year? Because me, as well as a bunch of content creators I've collabing with, are going to do a list on just JRPGs that we're looking forward to for next year.
Deku Police.
Take a police. All right,
Yeah,
nice.
yeah. Deku Police looks absolutely lit. For sure. And then there is a game, something Mori or re I can't think of it. It's
Metaphoric Fantasio?
That's it. That's it. I was gonna
Yeah,
say. I'm thinking Memento Mori because that's a new mod I downloaded from Morrowind, but that's it right there.
yeah,
That looks really good,
yeah.
and that honestly makes me want to That honestly makes me want to possibly dunk on a Sony.
Yeah. That game looks absolutely phenomenal. I would say. Yeah, and I'm gonna just read. Yeah, and it's good. Yeah, rebirth and reload. Yeah, reload for sure because it's gonna be your first Persona 3 experience. Well, I do hope you enjoy that. It's gonna be my second Persona 3 experience because I actually played Persona 3 Fez as my first Persona game, and it was enjoyable from that front. But I'm happy to see the changes and improvements to reload to
It looks
maybe even
really good.
enjoy Persona. Yeah, it absolutely looks phenomenal. Like, oh my god, Final Fantasy VII Rebirth. Yeah, that's also another game I'm looking forward to. Metaphor 2, that's gonna be great. Yeah, I'm pretty sure it's gonna be great. But yeah, I think that is yeah. So yeah, look forward to that collab. I'm currently in the middle of making it. I got
Exciting.
all my friends working on it. As for the Chrono Trigger stuff, yeah, obviously my priorities right now, other than to make the a collab, is obviously finish Tales of Rise Beyond the Dawn, review that, and just finish Chrono Trigger. And I do want to get it sometime like before this year ends because it's a good way to celebrate 500 subscribers and to thank everyone who've supported me for these 6 years, and for anyone new coming around, just to say yeah, thank you so much. Like, honestly, I'm just enamored that you guys supported me. Like, honestly, you guys are awesome. You guys are the real kings for as I am concerned. But I think, yeah, should we wrap it up? Anything else you want to mostly say? Anything else?
I'll just follow up with that. And yeah, if you haven't subscribed to Mad Kaiser, definitely go do so. Great channel, some good stuff on there. Um, some good retrospectives, and yeah, that Chrono Trigger is going to be a banger. I always love watching people play classic games for the first time. It's one of my favorite things in the world is watching people experience like classic pieces of music, classic games, classic movies, and watching reactions to that is
Yeah,
actually really wholesome to me in a world that really needs more wholesome content. So I'm looking forward to see what you say about Chrono Trigger. I think everybody here will be looking forward to it too.
yeah,
And I
making
just want to second what you say is yeah, like it's these channel efforts aren't about content creators. I know that some folks can question that, but honest to God, I'm just a strange internet ghost. That's all I am. I'm an echo of a real person that gets on here and likes to fucking talk about video games with people. So there's
yeah,
there and that doesn't happen if there's nobody fucking watching. So for anybody who actually can watch me fucking blabbing over screenshots, thank you. Thank you so much. And yeah, congrats on the 500 subscribers, man. That's incredible. That's great to hear.
yeah. Yeah, I'm glad I'm moving up in the world, especially with getting that milestone, and also during this year, I did even got hitched up by some game companies to get review codes of their recent games to review, which was an absolute treat, especially for someone as small as me. Which again, that was absolutely awesome. And yeah, thanks, Rush Dog and Nish Quick, and yeah, keep up the good work, Nish. And also, yeah, that's actually amazing because I'm happy to even see some of my other content creative friends also reach 500 subscribers by this year and even getting the same love as me, like game review codes for games and all that stuff. It's a good feeling. It's a good feeling, and yeah, do look forward to Chrono Trigger. And if you did watch my recent review of Fate Samurai Remnant, you know that all my improved editing, I'm going to apply that for my future reviews, and I'm going to have a lot of fun doing that.
By the way,
But I
I should
think
mention
we
real
should,
quick. I did buy
yeah.
that. I did buy that game because of your review on the Switch. That Fate Samurai game. It looks
Yeah.
really interesting. So yeah, that's it.
Yeah, if you love Persona 5 Strikers, then I think you'll like this one.
Nice. And so with all that said, I have one last question to leave you with. Did you have fun?
Sure. Yeah, absolutely. That was absolutely just a great time to be here. Honestly, this was just entertaining and just honestly, as someone who hasn't never done like this thing before, like never been to a podcast before, like
Yeah.
this was a good opportunity to do so. So yeah, I'm absolutely thrilled to be here. Just yeah,
Later on,
honestly,
when you beat
I'm
Chrono Trigger,
happy.
we'll have to have you back on.
Yeah, sure. What? Yeah, sure. I'll let you know. I'll keep you posted. but until then, I think that'll be it. Also, for anyone, I also just give some love to Flipping the Switch here. He was an amazing guy for having me here. It was an absolute pleasure. And I think we should hit a wrap.
All right, take care, guys. We're gonna kick the chat out now, but if you want to stay on for a quick denouement, we can do that. But love y'all, and get out of here. Go enjoy the rest of your Sunday. Get
Yep, same to you.
Later.